Okay, so we're going to go through our zone. It's a 3-3-1 zone, so we have 3 players at the front, 3 in the middle, and 1 deep. The roles at the front here, we have 2 forces and our hatchet, our middle player. We are always going to be forcing the disc in towards our hatchet. It's generally going to be middle, but not always the middle of the field. Always try and force the disc into where our defenders are. So when we set up a force, we want to make sure that we are not going to give up a pass that goes around and then effectively beats our cup with the second pass. Okay, we are allowing throws that go sideways or backwards. So we're setting up in the sort of IO to around position, knowing that if an around throw does go, it's going to be quite lateral, and we definitely have time to get across, and with our wing helping out to contain that and send it back towards our defender who's rushing it. Okay, move the disc back to the middle. So we're setting up in that sort of IO to around position. You'll see that we have a lot of coverage behind our cup, so it's man-to-man coverage if they decide to play 3 and 4. So it's very difficult for offenses in this zone to hit space by going over the top. All right, we've basically got a deep. We've got no holes in the middle or out in the wings. But where the zone is vulnerable is these holes through our cup. Okay, so little passes like this, or if someone beats their defender into these spaces here. So we have to be really careful with protecting that. One guy can't do it on their own, so when we're in the middle of the field, a couple of ways to help out: just close down those angles. Secondly, our wings need to pick up positions that can sort of stop anyone cutting into these spaces where we're going to hit through. Same on this side. Okay, and secondly, this free handler mark can also help out our hatchet. So our hatchet in the middle of the field can sort of take away this IO break angle a bit more, and ask for our free handler mark to pull towards them to help stop that upfield. Okay. Yes, now we might give away this swing pass with a few yards here, but we should, again, with the help of our wing cutting off the next pass, be able to contain that and send the disc back towards the middle of the field again. Okay, so in behind there, wing's job is to really be stopping any cross-pitch throws, this one here, and if the disc does swing, then their job is to make sure that their next upfield pass isn't going. They're always checking over their shoulder, seeing which players are cutting into the space or where that disc might go, and immediately cutting it off, hopefully just delaying the offense enough that our forces can get back across and force that disc to come back towards the middle and back towards our defense. Occasionally, something big, something floaty might come across the pitch where the wing thinks that they can go and bid on it. Really, you only want to bid on this big swing if you have, say, a 50% chance of getting there. What you don't want is to go after something you might have a small chance, where the most likely situation is you're going to be stuck here right next to the disc and you're going to leave this big free upfield pass. Okay, so bid on this if you genuinely have a chance. Otherwise, your job is let them have the disc and just get in the way of this continuation pass so that our cup can catch up and contain the offense. Middle player is generally filling that hole in behind our hatchet so we can stop any over the top throws, and our deep is there just to stop hucks. They need to realize that when the disc is in the middle of the field, that a huck through the middle isn't going to happen very often, so they can maybe poach in a little bit more, allow this guy to come closer in as well, or man mark a bit more. But they need to be really wary that, if we did get a swing to a free player, that's when a huck might go, and they would need to drop off and just man up a little bit. So what do we do when the disc moves, say, across to a sideline here? Well, our wing is containing immediately. We're getting our force on. we're getting our hatchet in to stop that immediate upfield. Now, the break side here is obviously going out the pitch, okay? We've got a sideline here, so we're helped out. Our force can be almost straight up. Hatchet can be in the open side lane and doesn't have to worry too much about the break. And that means that our second handler mark can get a bit more lateral just to stop the swings that go back across the pitch. Our mid is going to poach in just to stop those over the tops and into the hole here. And again, our wing is taking up that position where this big swing pass and also the over the top are going to be difficult because they're going to get close to either of those passes. So we don't want to be here or here, okay? We want to be halfway in between, just so that this player is always going to take a second look at those options, thinking that defender can get to either of them. So essentially, when we get them to the line, we want to try and get them getting back across the field. This is where we're going to get our blocks, where we're either going to frustrate them because we're going to make them have to go backwards and sideways a lot until they make a mistake, to want to sort of push through these gaps where our defenders are, or to risk something that goes over the top where we're going to get a bid. You know, we're not always forcing the middle of the pitch. So say this disc came over to this position, or a bit wider, we managed to contain, our cup gets across, and then they get a little dump pass out to here. The middle of the pitch is down here. What we don't want to do is just follow that disc. Okay, this guy opens up, we follow this disc across with the same force, and we let them have a big swing out, and they can exploit these open spaces over here. Instead, we're basically changing the force every single time. So if they get this pass out, even though this is the middle of the field, this force is going to come in, our hatchet is going to get across, our other handler mark is helping with the upfield, and we've just contained that immediate swing. The only place they have to left to go here is basically back where the disc came from. So we're frustrating the offense that way. We talked a bit about how we can add some variations to our zone, how we can change it up a little bit depending on what teams are trying to do. So we said that the strength of this zone is that there are a lot of people in behind here, but there are spaces to exploit around our cup. So if the team is very good at hitting these passes and getting through, then one thing we could do is actually move our middle player to create a four-man cup. Okay, that really closes off the angles to go through. It means that our free handler mark can get a little bit more lateral and put a bit more pressure on these swing passes, and it means it's far easier for us then to contain when the disc does move. The weakness now, though, is that we have this big hole in behind, so these over-the-top throws are much easier. So to help out with that, our wings are now going to have to pinch in, okay, to effectively be marking two players at once, right, and making all of these passes. Although we're not one-on-one coverage, we're making those passes difficult. Even the deep can push in a little bit and put some pressure on that, because again, hucking through a four-person cup is going to be very difficult. So that's how we can easily go from a 3-3-1 to a four-person cup zone. Another variation we talked about was taking this player from the middle of our 3-3-1 and actually putting them on a handle mark. So if teams are getting very good at exploiting these little give-goes through the middle, for instance, or even if they've got one player who's just their star player and is absolutely destroying our zone with some great throws or some good give-go movement, we can man-mark them out of the game. So wherever they go in the field, this player is going to stay on them and just make sure that they don't get the disc. Or we could just say, we're just going to take out the reset. So when this person clears out and this one comes in, we're going to take that away. And just make sure they don't have an easy reset throw and try to put more pressure on them if they're a very patient offense. So we also talked about setting up a sideline trap which we can do on the move. We didn't practice this, but we can do it on the move. So we're always forcing middle with these zones, you'll have noticed, so we can always contain the offense. But especially if we have a strong wind, say going this way, it'll be very difficult for them to throw off this sideline, and we can use that also almost as an extra defender. So what we're going to do is we're just going to force one way with our 3-1-1. We're really going to open up our cut and say, here's a free area, go ahead and throw into it, and hopefully they take the bait, move the disc across the pitch, and they end up on a sideline. And as they do that, we want to trap them on this line. So it doesn't matter which of these players are getting involved in the trap, but the first couple there really need to shut off that upfield that goes back in and put it on a sideline force. Okay, so we're really saying, first two there, just stop anything upfield into the middle of the pitch and anything that comes back off the line. We're going to have our wing in this position to stop the immediate up the line throw. And then the third person is going to come and just mark off the handler reset. Our deep can come across a little bit. Our mid-mid can sit in behind to stop the over the tops. And our wing, depending how strong this wind is, if this throw is virtually impossible, our wing can almost come right into this position and be really aggressive. Otherwise they're going to sit out here somewhere, again getting somewhere in between this throw and the throws to these players here. As the reset mark, we're not going to follow a player if they want to come back to this position, because then all we're going to do is allow a swing to go off the line and across the pitch. We're just going to sit here where we're stopping that pass, and if they want to go directly backwards, let's let them take yards backwards and stay on the sideline, knowing that again we can immediately get a player to get the force on, stop that infield, and this guy can then run over and get that swing while everyone else adjusts their position. Okay, so that is our sideline trap.